Hello, ladies on the sexy side of menopause. We are here for another episode. I'm Beverly with Beverly Hills Health and Wellness Coaching, and I have a phenomenal guest for you today. I feel like she's my sister in like a spiritual sense. We met a couple of weeks ago at an event, and I feel like it was an immediate connection. So, ladies, you know, I'm all about bringing you women that are doing phenomenal things on their menopause journey. And if you're needing inspiration, this is the place to be. I have for you Dr. Janet, and we're going to take this conversation in so many different places because she is just a genius in her space. We have somewhat of the same demographics. However, she is Dr. Janet. So, with that, Dr. Janet, please introduce yourself. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm humbled to be a part of your community and am totally looking forward to kicking back and just enjoying this season of our lives because we have earned our seat at the table everywhere we go.
Yes, absolutely. So, let me ask you, you have so many different spaces that you show up in. You are, your background is a doctorate in what field?
Psychology.
Psychology. Okay, so we have that. Then we have women that are over 50, which is your demographics, and you're a businesswoman who was featured. Ladies, come close. Let me tell you something. This lady was on a billboard in Times Square. Mic drop. Can you believe that? I was just like, when she told me, I was like, let me see. And this was, you said something that you did in your past. I don't remember exactly the window. And I was like, girl, if you don't put that back out there and start sharing that with your tribe again, because that's a big deal and you look amazing. So talk about that as a businesswoman being featured in the most iconic place in the world.
Thank you again. And I think I have to really just honestly say that the family I clocked in to really has enabled me to stand on their experiences. And the most symbolic and revolutionary experience was that Times Square experience for me. Fortunately, when I saw it a year ago, actually, um, it was raining. And so the snot nose bawling that happened for me was camouflaged by the rain or cleansed by the rain.
I was thinking it's cleansing.
Because as I stood at the corner, I realized something that my publicist didn't even realize, that I was being featured on both sides of the billboard.
Wow.
So it was not just one billboard appearance, it was two. And as I stood there and it was advertising me and the book that I had written that came out in 2019, entitled Human GPS, God's Perfect Script, the fulfillment of my why,
Mhm.
I truly felt that as I looked up, my ability to look up was the fact that 3, 4 generations of women, and of course men, are those that I stand on. And that this was evidence of their sacrifices, their ability to say no and yes to themselves, and no and yes to the societal experiences that they were encountering. So it was truly, truly a life altering experience for me.
I just want to hold space for that. That is such a phenomenal experience. And then for you to acknowledge the generations of your family whose shoulders you stand on. It's just so touching. It's so touching for me. I know that you had mentioned to me that your family's from another country. So can you talk a little bit about your upbringing and how you got to be this magnificent person that's standing on the shoulders of all these people in your lineage?
Yeah, both of my parents are from Jamaica, West Indies.
Okay.
And again, they were definitely way ahead of their time.
Mm-hmm.
As you and I were talking about your your niche, I chuckled because we were at a table and I had glimpsed what you had done. And it was the sexy side of menopause. And I said, yeah, own your ability to put men on pause and be sexy about it. And that I think was the icebreaker that really attracted us to each other. And it's funny because for generations, as long as I have known the grandmothers that I knew, because I didn't know any of my grandfathers, but the
Mm-hmm.
grandmothers that I knew on both sides were very open and very willing to discuss and answer any of the questions that I had. Um, and I was significantly, my last grandma passed when I was 18. So I was supposed to be going into college and couldn't start college on time because we had to go to her funeral.
Mm-hmm.
So the questions that I had as a child for her were definitely not the questions I would have now. Yet we had the ability to talk. And I had that ability with my mom. And so we were always talking. And I remember um, my youngest brother saying that he knew he had to get out of the house and he didn't leave the house until he was in his 30s. And he said he needed to get out of the house because his father was getting it more than he was. And
Wait a minute,
that
stop. The second menopause with your dad and how old? What age was this?
and my parents started having children later. So they were well into their, yeah,
No, no,
70s,
no.
70s. They were
Oh,
well into their 70s
yeah.
because I was about, my younger brother is 3 years younger than I. So if he was in his 30s, um, I had to have been 36 or whatever. And my mom, well, they were born in 1922 and 1926, respectively. So you guys do the math. Um,
In the 70-ish range. And the thing that I want to point out without derailing you is that's why my podcast is the sexy side of menopause, because there's a narrative out there that life is just going to fall off a cliff after you get to this range, and sex is not even a part of it. And here you're talking about your parents and your brother, like, oh, their life is more active than mine is, and he's in his 30s, and the narrative is that it's supposed to be the 30-year-old that's got this active life. So that's fantastic to hear. And I remember you showing me a picture of your mom. I think she was like 91. This woman was ready to do a walk on the model catwalk. She had her leopard on, she had her hair. It was kind of like a golden touch to it. I was like, okay, go ahead. Oh, this is who inspires me to be 90. So thanks for
yeah, and I mean to bring it into the 2000s, 2010, my dad's sister passed, and I had gone to Florida where they had an apartment because they were snowbirds. We lived in the north, and they would go to Florida for the winters. And I remember his sister had passed, and my mom, I was out doing work, and my mom came out. And so this is 2010, and they were born in 1922 and 1926. So do the math.
Forward
And my
thinking.
mother says, can you believe that this man wants to have sex? His sister just died. And I just looked at her and said, well, that sounds like a personal problem to me. You guys need to handle that. And so, yeah, this was something that was discussed. It was open. We were available to hold space for each other and embrace the varied stages of life.
Yeah.
And I remember I had gotten divorced and I was dating. And I remember one of the people that I was dating basically talking about, well, I'll be so old and you won't be wanting to be bothered with me. And I said, anybody that is in a relationship with you, whether it's me or anyone else, that cannot embrace the stages
Hmm.
of our body and what we're experiencing as we age, then that person is not
It's so
the
true.
best person for you.
True. So true. And it's one of those things that I feel like your parents being so forward thinking has provided you with this much more expansive way of looking at life and relationships and this journey of menopause. Whereas me coming from a very conservative Southern religious background, it's like we didn't have conversations like this. I found out about menopause. My mom gave me a book when I was in high school, like, here, you might need this. You know what I mean? And it's not just me. I think it's culturally, and I'm a baby boomer, you're a baby boomer. We just didn't have those conversations. And so we found ourselves floundering as we're going through the stages of menopause, not even understanding it. And then on top
But
of that, listen to society tell you that there's no sex life. Oh no.
well, I think the commonality for us is even keener because I'm a PK.
Me,
And
you know, yeah.
right. And so that even speaks to again the progressiveness of my parents. And I think one of the things that may have sort of flavored that for them is that I had a brother who was dependent on the math again.
Mhm.
I was born in 1957 in November, and John was born in 1958 in December, very early in December. And so, I mean, I was maybe 5 months old when my mom got pregnant again. So, okay, again. Um, so having to deal with a child with Down syndrome at that point, developmental disabilities at this point, I
Okay.
think enabled them to realize that they were not going to have a traditional and conventional life. And so the blueprint that they were going to have to follow was going to be self created. And I think that then tempered how we as a family operated.
Okay. That is wonderful. And I love that you've taken that and you're in this field now where you can have conversations from a very deep, thoughtful perspective in talking with clients who I'm sure probably are challenged in this area. So, what is it like when you're talking to some of the women who grew up with the totally 180 spectrum from where you grew up, and maybe there's some trauma there, or there are situations where they don't have this confidence in themselves during this stage of life, or that they're just lost because they don't know who they're supposed to be because your body is sending these signals like you're not the same, you're changing, not in a bad way. And that's one of the things that I have issue with, like everything that's happening is bad and it's happening to me rather than it's happening for you to get you on a path to some kind of destiny or some type of major shift in your life that you're not giving yourself the opportunity to step into because you're caught in this gerbil wheel of society.
Hmm. One of the many strategies that I provide is that water, as we know it, is in different forms and it serves us differently,
Yeah.
regardless of how old we are, how heavy we are,
Mhm.
how sick we are, how healthy we are.
Right.
And a cup of water when you are extremely thirsty is extremely valuable.
True.
Yet, a cup of water when you're not can be laborious. That same water
Mhm.
that you take a shower with, take a bath with, when there is enough of it, irrespective of how heavy or how light you are, when you go out in it in a pool
Mhm.
and lie back, it
Mhm.
supports you, it loves you. And so there is a simple example of a non judgmental embrace of who you are and what your needs are,
Okay.
just in water,
Okay.
just in water.
I was like, gives you a totally different perspective about water, you know? And hopefully there's the takeaway that they can understand what this means. I think for me, I look at life like this is a gift for you, and you can unbox it or you can keep it there. But sometimes we get to the place where other people are distracting you, where you're not leaning into opening up and see what that gift offers you. And for me, I spent a lot of my life just kind of checking the box and doing the things I was supposed to do. And it's not like they were not serving me because I've had so many experiences. I've traveled around the world as a military spouse for over 20 years. I have been tied to the government in contracting. So I've had the opportunity to work and support different agencies at really, really high levels. I've had the opportunity to travel for different agencies and work in other countries. So I've had these experiences, but it also felt like I was moving in this water with somebody else's directive and guidance. And I had got to a crossroad in life and I realized like it's time to see really what this box is, what my gift is. And it's not like I wasn't being shown glimpses of it along the way. But now, to me, and I know this is going to blow a lot of people's minds, but to me, menopause is a gift. It's like life is just like, wake up. It's time. It's time to look in the mirror and make some changes.
First and foremost, and you just glossed over it and fast forward through it. But first and foremost, I want to recognize you for all the diversity that you have brought to this world and all of the amazing gifts, all of the amazing ways in which you showed up, and the phenomenal ways in which you have impacted the world for the better in such diverse ways. And I just want to take a moment and pause and deeply appreciate that.
I love
Because
it. And I show
as you do that,
her,
as you do that, as you do that, it makes your menopause, your mid season so rich because you get now to springboard in whichever area you want and bring that treasure of ability, versatility, knowing, curiosity. I mean, that is like amazing, 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 amazing. So I'm sorry. You're not just going to slide that one in and run. Sorry, not going to work. Not going to work.
y'all can
But
see
I think that's
I love Dr. Janet. She is amazing. Thank you for that. I really receive that because sometimes you just feel like, or maybe I should say, I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing more. Even though I can look back and see I've done a lot with my life, especially looking back from where I came from. But there's like this. And let's talk about this. I'm so excited about let's talk about this. There's something else that is within me, like it needs to be birthed. And you and I had this conversation, and this is really going to put ourselves out there. I said something about my goals and dreams for what I want to do for the business. And it went back to I need to have a jet. And you kind of chuckled with me, and I didn't understand it. And I'm not talking superficially about like, oh, one of my dreams, pie in the sky, is like I want a jet. Like I worked for a company as a officer, the only woman of color, and I think it must have been maybe a dozen of us. And this company, as officers, were acting on behalf of the company, making acquisitions. And the company had a plane, a jet. It was a Lear jet. And we would have these strategies of where we need to go to audit the books. So we would have our due diligence plan. Literally, we were driven to the tarmac, which was a hangar where the jet was. We walked across the tarmac, talked about whatever details of the flight, literally walked onto the plane. And within like 5 minutes, we were airborne. Arizona, Utah, all of these places on the West Coast. And I was just like, it was like catching a taxi. You went, you did your business for the day, and you came right back. Like, oh, I need this as my life. So I had that experience, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm in the space of my business, and life is one of those things where you look at the time, this is my bailiwick, is understanding that this is the sands in the hourglass. What are we going to do? Be purposeful about it during this stage. And I'm like, I need to have a jet to get around. Dr. Janet said, she gonna have a jet too. I'm like, cool. Then Dr. Janet was talking about her goals, and I was talking about my goals. And I'm always like, well, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I need a lot of money because I got a lot of things to do all over the globe. And Dr. Janet said, okay, I'm going somewhere else. So can we have this conversation? Can we have this conversation, Dr. Janet?
Well, there's someplace else is I want to be a trillionaire before die. And
That's the right. You will be a trillionaire. I love that. I love that. You don't hear these conversations. And the thing to me is like, I know you can do it. I know the gift that's in you. And just the short period that I've had the opportunity of conversating with you, your conversations are deep and wide, your experiences, the generations of family members that help support you through this journey. Like, I can see it, Dr. Janet.
But the irony about that hourglass that you share and you hold dearly
Yes.
and is a symbol of your business
Mm-hmm.
is that what changes it from empty to full is its perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so all we need to do, we are whole and complete. All we need to do is change our perspective at any given time,
Mm-hmm.
and we are full.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the mere fact that you had that experience at another time doesn't mean that it's not available to you, because right now that is not, it's you're on an empty experience where that is concerned. We just have to flip things around
Yes.
and you're there.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. I'm just like, I need to be checking with you every week for my mental health.
I have
Because
clients that say that. I have clients that say that.
that's because you have the gift. I told you, I see it, I feel it. I'm very energetically aware, very energetically aware. And I always find that it's no incident. The people that I'm in community with, the people that I connect with, it's like that energy is so high. And it's people that see things from a different perspective.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and after God, it was pretty aggressive. And
Mhm,
how I found it was really very only God.
mhm, mhm.
Yet, one of the things that God assured me was that it wasn't going to kill me. It wasn't one of the tools I would have personally put in my toolbox, but I had been practicing bald my whole life because my hair would grow to my shoulders or below,
Okay,
and I would cut it. So the only thing that I hadn't practiced in life was going bald.
okay,
So now I had after all the dress rehearsals, I had the actual performance of being bald.
okay.
And so I began to look at that in my life and I said, okay, so we have these dress rehearsals
Mhm,
and it is in preparation for the future. So I had been in relationship with someone and they sent me $1 million bill and from Zimbabwe. And I
mhm,
said, okay. And I did research and I realized, well, they have varying denominations. So I went out and ordered um, a 20 million, a billion, a trillion, and I posted them. And
mhm,
so I can't say that I'm not a trillionaire. I
mhm.
am.
Yes,
I
yes,
can't say that I am not a billionaire because I am.
yes.
And so as I look at that on a daily basis, it is not something that I have to become. It's something that I already am.
Mhm,
So as I venture and as I am allowed to cross paths with my clients, it is providing them with that wealth,
mm, mm,
providing them with the ability to look at the fact that two things my dad would always say, if excellence is possible, then
mhm.
mediocrity is not acceptable.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And so whenever I hear my clients say, I'm okay, or everything's okay, all right, so that is mediocrity.
Pretty.
How do we strive for excellence? What do you need to do 1% better each day
Mhm,
to take you
mhm.
higher? And that 1%, just doing that 1% takes you higher.
Yes,
So as we embrace our bodies
yes,
into our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100,
yes, yes.
there is beauty in it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And the beauty is appreciating and loving the nuances that are you.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I totally agree. Two thoughts come to mind, and I'd love to talk about it from your standpoint as a professional in the field of thought. For me, when I hear the word menopause, it has never had a stigma to it for me. Never. It's never been something that was off putting to me. Never. It was never something that defined me as somebody that was old and irrelevant. Never. It's not until I started coaching did I understand that there's a stigma there. Because I would say the average woman that I talked to was like, menopause, oh, no, 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 that's not me, head down, like, why are you giving it that kind of power? And then also the second aspect of that, which is where I want to take the conversation after you answer it, is the empowerment of menopause to understand the rite of passage. Like we're going into a space of wisdom, tapping into spirituality. And also, I look at it from a queen perspective and not like queen crown with the money, but a queen as in you're making decisions that are going to have legacy effects. And I think in like my grandmother, great grandmothers, and maybe in some indigenous tribes, they referred to it as ceremonial crone stage. So let's kind of talk about the psychological aspect and why women give power to menopause and that defines them. And then going to how it should be such a stage of empowerment and reverence.
Well, first and foremost, because this is a male dominated society,
The patriarchy.
there isn't a reality or there isn't much emphasis put on the fact that there is a menopause also for men.
Yeah, andropause. Yes, I also talk about that. Yes.
And so this is the process that every living thing and every created thing experiences. Life has a beginning.
To get there,
I'm sorry.
if they live and are blessed to get there.
Right.
Sorry, I just wanted
Everything in life has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
to.
And if we are able to embrace that and embrace the fact that there is no need for stigma, you have been prepared for this. And prepare yourselves early. Prepare yourself that once you begin your menses, as you are born, you are preparing for all of these things and celebrate them all. And so what I embody is the joy as you are and the embrace of, so what is today going to look like?
Yes.
What foods am I eating? What activities am I doing that is going to minimize some of the effects, maximize some of the effects, or make them non-existent?
Truly.
I can regain control.
Yes.
It's not something that's happening to me. It is something that I am actively participating in. So let's make this into a game. If I exercise more, what does that do for me?
Mm-hmm.
And if we approach our homeopathic or non-homeopathic practitioners with a sense of this is what I am going through, this is what it feels like for me,
Yes.
then you're coming to it in a customized designer way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can we collaborate to come up with strategies that will work effectively for my jacket called Janet?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, that is my approach
Mm-hmm.
to my experience with menopause, which is behind me, but sometimes I wonder. um, you
Post-menopause.
know, so that is part one of your question. Part two is again being open with the generations that surround you, whether they are personally connected with you or network wise connected with you, to have the conversation and not label yourself, but discover yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And as you pass the baton on each year,
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, last year was this kind of year for me as I got older. I wonder if you have somebody who's a year older or a couple of months. Hey, what are you leaving behind this year? And so it is a building.
Yeah. Yeah. I am in this space of absolute wonder. It's like Christmas is coming. That's the way I feel about it. And I'd like to share that enthusiasm. I'd like to provide a much more expansive perspective of menopause, because what I found was missing is conversations like what we're having. There's plenty of people having conversations about what's wrong with menopause, what's wrong with your life at this stage, all of the symptoms. And I'm like, okay, you can look at a glass half full, half empty, but why spend all of your life looking at the negative aspects when you're going to have to manage through it some type of way? And if you can lean into your body's asking for something and taking the time to answer what your body's asking for, because as you live decade to decade, there are changes that are happening, and you have to shift for those changes. Menopause is no different from going through puberty. If you want to be, mother carrying a child, your body's changing. So menopause is just an extension of that. So why make it something that's so negative because somebody else decided that they're trying to put you in a box to medicate you or to move you out of an environment for another generation? I just feel like these conversations need to take place so women can understand that you have the power to make the decision on how you navigate this journey. There's a woman that I'm really good friends with. We are off and on in Clubhouse talking. Me and a couple other ladies do a Clubhouse conversation every week on the menopause journey, and we talk about all types of topics: sex, relationship, your body image. It just varies. And we also are able just to shift the conversation based on what somebody comes in the room and needs support around. But this woman that I really respect so much, she was an Ayurveda doctor. And she has this tagline that you definitely will go through menopause if you live a long life, but the symptoms are optional. And I thought, how forward thinking is that? But this is truly what she teaches based on her program that she studied under somebody in India. So those practices haven't been embraced by the United States, which is the baby of the world. We want to dictate all of these mandates for how women should live their life by something that's only a 200-year-old process for us in this country, where people have been going through this thousands and thousands of years, and they've been revering women who's going through this stage. They've been acknowledging the fact that they are so full of knowledge and wisdom, and they want them to sit and teach the younger people in the tribes or in the space. I feel like that's the mantle that I have to share and teach. I don't have any daughters. I have all sons, and they are aware of menopause and andropause. But it's really important, I feel, that the women know what's happening and not find themselves lost through this process. Waking up one day trying to figure out, like, oh my God, why are these 20 pounds on the scale? Where did they come from? How do I get them off? They're not moving. What's happening? I'm depressed. Give me some medicine. There's just a little tip of the iceberg of some of the conversations that I had. And I did experience some shifts in my body as I was going through the perimenopause stage. But I'm the kind of person like, we'll figure it out. What's the problem? And by me digging and trying to figure it out, I ended up with the health and wellness certification. And I work with women to help them through this journey. So I feel
And
like this.
again, we're finding out more and more about you and your greatness. And I think you drop so many amazing nuggets. One being that there is a need not to isolate, there is a need to have a multi-generational network,
Mhm.
friendship,
Yes.
ability to clock in and clock out of those networks that provide you with a reality check.
Yes.
You know, that pimple on your nose, as it were, and the pimples in our lives get exacerbated when we're solely focusing on that. When we're able to have a collaborative, when we're able to have our horizons widened and our perspectives widened by our interactions, we realize that, oh man, we're dwelling on the wrong thing, or we're not alone, or there are many other ways of addressing this than we have been looking at.
Mhm.
Well, elastic pants came into being because some man probably gained some weight and needed to look good. So, I mean, there is a place and a purpose for everything. And I really appreciate the environment that you allow
Mm.
for that to happen, for collaboratives to happen in different ways, for people to bring their greatness together
Yes.
and support and reclarify and define what is going on. So I just,
Well, I love this, Dr. Jen. And I used to do summits several years back. I used to do these summits like every quarter. And I would have somewhere around a dozen individuals that would be a part of this summit, and I would do them quarterly. And I did it for about 2 years. And I would have individuals that are focused on various aspects of our lives as we go through the menopause journey, but trying to cover a 360-degree wheel. And I would have doctors on, nurses on, health coaches on, herbalists on. I even had fashion consultants on, makeup artists on, because when you look at the menopause journey, when you get to this space, there's a myriad of things that can shift, and it's different. This is the main thing. It's different from woman to woman. One woman can go through this journey all the way through and not even know that anything's changed. Absolutely have talked to women who did not understand what the big hoo-ha-ha was about menopause. And then I've had women that, they gained a lot of weight and they had sleep problems and just a myriad of things. And I feel personally, if you look at these individual symptoms, there are things that you can do naturally to mitigate them. I truly have seen this happen. I did not use any medication to go through my menopause journey. As a baby boomer growing up in the South, and there was a lot of farms, and our family had a farm, everything that we ate was pretty much organic. My grandmother's had elixirs for everything. My great grandmother had 14 kids, and she went through her menopause organically and naturally with her little tinctures and stuff. So it's just like it was just in me to do it naturally. And the thought of having to take something medically to do something that's naturally in my body, it just didn't compute. And I understand for some women, if you've been indoctrinated to believe the only way to get through something is through pharmacology or through medicine or something, you do have that choice, but just know that there's side effects and things that you have to contend with. But if you want a community, if you want people to talk to, this is why I'm having these conversations with these individuals. This is why I have the Sexy Side of Menopause podcast, because these women each have something so profound to share, just like yourself. And if just one person is in a better space because they've heard something here and see a totally different life for themselves in this journey, I feel like I've done something that has been profound, because it takes one to talk to another, to talk to another, to talk to another. And that's how we come about changing this narrative around menopause. That's totally a farce, that it's all negative and downhill and bad. It's not. And just look at Dr. Janet. She's just glowing, looking amazing on billboards and everything. Like life can just be beginning now. A lot of the things that was holding you down, maybe a career, maybe, children, maybe parents, like a lot of these things through the attrition of life will start falling off.
By all means, the focal point of it all is loving you.
So true.
After having given yourself solely to either your career, your children, your spouse, your partner, your parents, it is very easy with the limit of 24 hours to not feel that you are worth it.
Yes. Yes.
Yet, for the most part, everyone that I speak about gets up and in their hurried day finds time to brush their teeth, find time to go to the bathroom, finds time to take a shower. And yet, in those times, we're multitasking off times. Yet, those times when we are in the bathroom alone, we don't capitalize on those moments to look at ourselves. And if we look at ourselves, it is with criticism. I implore you today to take those times of brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, taking a shower. And as you are rubbing yourself and lathering yourself, give thanks. Give thanks that you can do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks that you, without labor, can wash those parts without giving any thought to it.
Yes.
Give thanks that you can balance. Give thanks that you can still remember to walk into the shower, walk out of the shower, turn the water off, turn it on, lather the washcloth or loofah or whatever you use. Give thanks.
Yes.
And when that becomes second nature, find other things to be grateful for.
Yes.
And then internalize it. Give thanks to your body for doing things that you're not even aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the more we are able, as with our friendships, the more you spend time with someone, the more you get to know them, the richer the relationship becomes. The same thing happens when you spend time and get to know you.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm just receiving that. That is the perfect way to close this out. Can you believe we've been here an hour? These conversations to me, they come and go so quickly. And it's just like, I think we need a part two. But I totally agree. This is the perfect place to leave women. When you were saying love yourself and how some women just kind of go about their day and the brush and teeth and the routine, and just like, I guess I'm an anomaly because I'd be leaning into the mirror. I'm like, girl, you looking great today. This is a fantastic day. What is the day going to hold? Like, I'm like calling in things. There's a scripture that called those things that are not as though they were. That used to be my tagline on my email for years, because I think that's why I don't have that negative perspective about menopause. I don't have a negative perspective about myself at all. I have things that I desire to do, and I'm hard on myself because I haven't reached a certain level, or maybe I see someone like business is a big thing because you're in this community of people who are doing different types of business and being in the space of menopause. This is a business that is a lot less progressive, but I think more conversations are starting to happen around it. And I want to see more happen. And I want to see more venues where they're having conversations around menopause, and it's happening, but it's just slow. And I'm just like, what else can I do? I need a jet. I need to get around and talk more, you know? But the conversations are having taken place. Holly Berry has been talking to women on the legislature left and right. Oprah Winfrey's doing her thing. And so conversations are happening. As a matter of fact, I had a major network, morning show network, to reach out to me because they saw my video on menopause. So that lets me know the work I'm doing is making a difference, but I have a
By
different.
all means.
So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you, Dr. Janet. I so love what you do. I love your spirit. And I know the women who work with you, their lives are absolutely changed. For those who are here to be a part of the conversation for just this hour, I know that they have been touched deeply because as I've been here with you, I have been touched. So thank you. I'm grateful for you. I love you so much. And with the last couple of minutes we have left, if you have anything special you want to share, something about your business you want the ladies to know, or how they can reach you or contact you and what you do, I yield the floor to you, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you so much for again inviting me to spend this time with you and your audience. I work with women who are 50 plus, who have felt that they are unworthy of spending time and getting to know themselves. And in very basic, simple ways, I am able to give them the permission to love and know themselves once again and make themselves a priority in their own lives. So if that sounds like you at all, reach out to me at janetpalmer.com. I'd love to have a virtual cup of coffee with you and explore whether we are a right fit for each other to continue the journey. Again, that is janetpalmer.com. Looking forward.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Janet. Ladies, if you are looking for support, Dr. Janet is there. That's one of the great things about what I'm offering in my conversations on the sexy side of menopause. There are going to be women from various areas who can help you, support you. I myself can do that as well. I will close with my information for those who are looking to reach out and have somebody support them on the menopause journey. Again, I'm Beverly Whitlow, the CEO of Beverly Hills Health and Wellness Coaching. I am the CEO along with a certified health coach. So I help women just like you break through the stigma of menopause and lean into a fabulous, confident, and sexy new vision of themselves through a holistic journey that I refer to as stepping into a powerful next level life. So if you need support in that area, ladies, I am here to support you wherever you need help. This is the sexy side of menopause. I'm so glad you joined me and my guest, Dr. Janet, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you so much for being here.